Well, hello, and welcome back to Midlife Talks with Cassandra B. And I'm Cassandra B. Anyway, I know this is going to take a little bit. We are on episode 3 to get a good flow moving with how this works. So please bear with me. Please stick with me as I maneuver through all of what I am trying to put out there. So thanks for sticking by and thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. Anyway, so let's get on with it. Welcome back to Midlife Talks with Cassandra B. If you've been feeling stretched thin, exhausted from overgiving, or like your needs just don't matter, this episode is for you. Because here's the truth that no one tells you about midlife. Setting boundaries is not selfish, it's not mean, it's not failure. It's the ultimate self respect. So today we're going to explore how to set boundaries without guilt, without shame, without fear. Wouldn't that be amazing? How would it feel to actually set boundaries and not have all of those energies show up and cause you to go, never mind, I'll just people please and do all of those and things, and because this is just too hard, right? How often do you go, well, if I set a boundary, then people aren't going to like me and they're not going to hang out with me and they're not going to talk to me. So I'm just better at, over giving, over pleasing, overdoing all of that energy instead of what is actually right for me. So when you look at some of those things of how often do you overgive? How often do you say, I can just put my stuff on the back burner and do for everybody else? How often are you putting on their mask before you put on your oxygen mask? It's just like being on a flight. Boundaries is saying, I need to put my oxygen mask on first and then help everybody else. But I need to fuel my body first. I need to give myself the oxygen. I need to do those things. That is a boundary. A boundary is saying, you can do whatever you like, but I need to look after me first, or that is not okay with my energy, or whatever that aspect is on. So a wall is saying, you need to fix you before you can come into my world. A boundary is saying, you do you, I'm going to do me. And that just, we're not in the same space right now, but at some point we'll come by. You just can't bring that energy into my space. You can have it all you want. I'm not asking you to change. I'm just saying it's not okay for my energy to be in that space. So that is the difference. That is the difference of where we are is putting ourselves as a priority. And this is important to do. All right, let's get on to here. So when we think about boundaries, so often we actually look at them as if they are a luxury, as if they are something I can't afford. It's something other people get to have. It's something that other people get to be in space with. I don't get to have boundaries because, well, everybody else is more important. And well, they need me. And if I put on a boundary, then nobody's gonna. We need to get out of that mindset and that spiral inside of our own mind that kind of just and goes nowhere because it's the lie. That space you're in, the thing you keep telling yourself um, that's the lie. How do I put this? And you know what I'm trying to say. So I used to think that boundaries were like a luxury, that it was something other people could have because it didn't feel like I was able to set those boundaries. I would watch other people do it but see, that becomes about me. It's not about them. It's not about whether or not somebody else can set a boundary. It's all about how I'm setting my own boundaries and what I'm allowing in, because that's about my self worth. That's about where my energy goes, where I am putting my time, where I am doing all of those things. So when we look at those, what actually is underneath all of that fear? Why do you keep lying to yourself so that you can show up for everybody else? We would so often, and I know for me, I overextended myself with my work, with my friends, with my family, trying to make sure that everybody else was okay. Is I was literally drowning in the sand pit of my own life. I was literally drowning in the sands were literally bringing me down, and I was still trying to make sure that everybody else needed and got what they needed. My needs are less important than theirs. If I protect my time, I'm being selfish. If I put up boundaries, then that makes me unlovable because then they're not getting that person they're used to. So all of these things, every time you allow that lie to run your life, you erode your energy. Your clarity and your sense of self, it gets eroded. It gets exhausted. It gets broken down, beaten down, and then you are just a shell of your own existence because you've been doing for everybody else at all this time. That's the overextension within ourselves. So what we need to do is just pause with me for a moment. Just take a nice deep breath and pause. Just close your eyes if you can and notice, where in your body do you feel overextended? Where in your body do you feel like you've overgiven? Is it your shoulders? Are they feeling heavy and tight? Your jaw, your tummy, does it feel all yucky? Is it heavy with emotion? That tension is trying to tell you that you're ignoring yourself again. You're overgiving. You're doing. So when you feel all of this, like I notice that when I go to bed at night, my neck and my shoulders are so tight and tense because I've been trying to control every aspect of everything that's going on with me. And then you get to this, and I wake up in the morning, and that's relaxed a little bit, but I can still feel like in my neck those still little tensions. So I'm never fully relaxing. So then every morning I wake up a little bit tense. By the end of the day, I'm super tense, and then it relaxes just to this. So over time, you're going to find that you no longer relax because you didn't put up the boundaries to protect your energy so that you could be in your best space. That's what we're wanting to shift out of. So that tension is telling you you're ignoring yourself. You are not doing what's best for you. You are living in the judgment and shame. It's time to find that awareness within yourself that we no longer need that judgment. We don't need to live in shame. We don't need to be in those spaces. So this is just the awareness we need in order to move forward, because boundaries don't have to be huge. They don't have to be dramatic. They don't have to be, oh, that has to be my way or no way or get out. Like, stop that. That's so often that we think that's what a boundary is, but actually that's what a wall is. So let's start releasing how that is. So your next best step is always one choice, one act of self-alignment, one action into your truth, one step into that sovereign aspect, that full being that you're planning and trying to move towards. So when we take that one step into ourselves, we are stepping into our truth, into our authenticity. It automatically puts up boundaries in all things. When we are in our best self moving forward, all of those things come in a much better aligned way. So saying no to one thing that doesn't serve you, that's really what we need to do. Is just, if that thing doesn't serve you, why are you doing it? Why are you saying yes to something that actually doesn't fuel your soul? This really feels weird. Maybe if I move the camera. Oh, that maybe is a little better. Okay. I feel like I'm squished in. Anyway, so here's what it can look like when we start choosing ourselves, when we start taking that aligned step, when we come into our own clarity of what we are needing and putting on those boundaries, saying no to that one thing that doesn't serve us, that doesn't need our time, allowing for help instead of doing it all ourselves. Oh my goodness, how often, even this weekend, my husband said, "Did you miss me?" And I said, "No, I was so busy doing stuff that it was really just great that you weren't in my way." To go, oh, that maybe sounded a little bitchy. And that's not what I meant. It's sometimes I need everybody to get out of my way so that I can process through to come into my own sovereign being. And sometimes when other people are in my space, I can't step into that space because others are playing in my energy, are needing my time, are doing things in a way that doesn't necessarily work for me. Now, that being said, I could have used him to take some of the stuff out and do that kind of stuff. So now I have a whole room of boxes that need to go out. So it's also maybe changing the perspective. He didn't need to go away. I still could have done all of those things just put up a boundary of saying, hey, I need you to be out of this space for a little while so I can maneuver some stuff through. But why don't we get back together in a couple of hours and do that? So for me, I kind of go, if you just leave, I can get things done. So it's also maneuvering in that energy, changing up some of that, how we work together, even in partnership and those things, because all of those things are shifting as we move forward. So asking for help instead of doing it all yourself. This is also when you ask for help, you might have to put a boundary on it saying, I don't want you to do it all for me, and I don't want you to fix this, and I don't want you to find the answers. I just need you to help me to this point. That's it. Can you just help me with this and make it tangible of a space that is understanding for you? So that's the space. We're not asking them to come in and take over. We're not asking them to fix anything. My husband always wants to come in and fix, and he has learned now. He comes up and he goes, how can I help? What can I do to support you? How can I make your day easier? How can I make your life easier? How can I make today easier on you so you can do the things that you are wanting to get done? That's a beautiful way of coming in. So it's not doing for me. It's not stepping on my toes. It's not doing any of those things. And that was by me putting up a boundary of saying, I don't want you to fix. Stop it. That's a boundary. I don't need him to fix. But I sometimes need his help. So, hey, can you help me take the couch out so that I can paint and do that room up? Hey, can you go help your son this weekend and I will work on the house? He needs the help. I don't. So figuring out ways that we can work together for everybody to be in their best, helping where it's needed, moving out where it's not, and then finding where those boundaries are. So that's the shift in the movement we're trying to change into where we're going now. So that is all about asking for help and putting up boundaries at the same time. So leaving a conversation or space that feels draining. How often do you stay in conversations or spaces or keep coming back to it when it's a place that does not fuel you, but you're scared that if you don't come back to it, that those other people won't be okay? So you put your own boundaries aside to make sure that they are getting everything they need as you are literally being drained dry of everything you've got. So then you are literally exhausted and then nobody's in their best here. So think about how that is as well. How often do you stay in conversations? Do you stay in spaces? Do you stay with people that actually drain you when you should have stepped out and gone into your own moved into your own space, change the conversation? Sometimes it's not even leaving the conversation, it's changing the conversation into something more inspiring and joyful. Sometimes we can get into really deep conversations that are exhausting and draining and don't have answers, and they just spiral lower and lower and lower into the frequency, and they drain everybody dry. So maybe changing the frequency of the conversation can bring everybody up. So choosing quiet over obligations. Sometimes saying no and just sitting at home and having a cup of tea and reading a book is all the things you actually need to do. Choosing the quiet over the obligation, choosing yourself over making sure everybody else is okay. Because understand, I have to live with me 24 hours a day. So if I'm not good and I'm going into other spaces, I'm bringing the not good part of me with me. So is that really good? Is that really helpful? Is that going to help anybody in the long run? Not so much. So sometimes choosing the quiet, saying no to things, actually even backing out and saying, you know what? I'm not good for you today. I am not in the best space. And they go, that's okay. But no, this is a boundary for me of I need to actually do some self-care and align with myself so that I can be in my best self to be in here tomorrow or next week. If I go in today, we're all going to get drained dry and nobody's going to be in their best space, excuse me. So speaking one truth you've been avoiding and you know, that kind of energy, that goes along with also saying no when you've been saying yes, yes, yes. Speaking the truth of saying, you know what, I actually keep doing this out of obligation, not because I want to. It's because I feel guilty if I don't go. If you died right now, how much guilt would you have? And you know what? Everybody else would figure out how to make this happen. Now, that doesn't mean that you should bail on your obligations of things that you put forward. But what it does mean is sometimes me, need to be the biggest obligation. I got a sunbeam that's really starting to flow through here. So speaking your truth is that you've been avoiding. Speaking your truth, saying where things are not okay, aligning with yourself, finding the boundary and sticking to it, and removing yourself from scenarios that are not good. Notice where your guilt comes in, and then where you still move into it anyway. Notice that. Guilt is natural. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're stepping into your own authority. Sometimes noticing that you have guilt for other things is about realizing your sovereignty within yourself. So today, I want you to try this today. Today, I allowed myself to choose myself. I allowed myself to say no. I allowed myself to protect my energy. I am allowed to protect my energy. I am allowed to say no. That's the start to building your boundaries without guilt. So, one more time, try this with me. Today, I am allowed to choose myself. I am allowed to say no. I am allowed to protect my energy. That's the start of boundaries without guilt. So, every time you claim a boundary, even a small one, you send a message. I am here. I matter. My life matters. This isn't about controlling others. It isn't even about controlling how you give your energy. Sorry, I said that backwards. It isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling how you give your energy. There we go. So we don't need to control others. We don't need to, that's the walls. Remember, you need to fix you before you can come in. That's a wall. A boundary is saying, hey, I'm here for you, but I'm not going to take on your energy. I'm here for you, but I'm not going to fix your crap. You need to do that for yourself. I'm here for you and I will listen. But my boundary is I'm not doing the work for you. You need to do that. So every time you claim a boundary, even a small one, you send a message that you are here, you matter, and your life matters. And I really want that to sink into yourself today. I really want you to feel into this. I want it to become a practice. This is not about controlling others. It's about controlling how you give your energy, where you give your energy, what you're putting your energy into. Consistency matters. Your nervous system relaxes, your confidence grows, your presence deepens, your relationships shift because you are no longer resentful or depleted. And that is a big, big shift from walls to boundaries to self-pleasing and all of that energy. Boundaries are not walls. They are gates, and sacred gates that protect your threshold, that protect you. So think of it like the doorway to your energy. They can come in when they are sovereign in self. They can come in when they are keeping their energy contained, but they cannot come in and trauma dump on you and go, now fix my shit. We're not doing that for anybody. We can't do it for anybody. And we're no longer absorbing it, trying to figure out how to help them. We have got a gate there and saying, hey, you can come and sit in my sacred garden. You can come and work on your stuff and I will help you and I will, have tea with you and I will listen and I will be just in space with you for you to transition. But I'm not doing your work. So if you want to come in here and you want to do the work and you want to do all of those things, my table is available for you. But if you're coming here to trauma dump and junk all of your crap on my table and expecting me to clean it all up, oh, that's not happening. But I promise you, if you trauma dump on my table, I am going to ask you all the hardest questions that are available to me. I am going to ask you to look at your stuff. I am going to ask you to pick up your crap and to put it where it belongs. I'm going to ask you that where do you belong in this trauma dumping that you've done. So understand that if you want to trauma dump on me, if you want to put all of your crap into my bucket, if you're going to throw it all on my table, I'm going to ask you the hard questions. I'm going to make you do the work. I'm going to do all of those things because my boundary is I'm not cleaning up your table. That's a boundary for me. So what are your boundaries? What boundaries have you been putting on lately? What boundaries have you been putting? What does your gate look like? What's on your gate? Does it have a beware sign? Beware, if you don't look after your own shit, I'm going to throw it back at you. Like, what does your sign say? Anyway, just kind of, I giggle there in the moment because I know things are getting a little heavy, but it's because I really want you to take stock of where are you in your own system? Where are you in that setting boundaries for yourself? So on a little closing reflection here, Here is a practice for you to try today. Pick one space in your life where you feel stretched, depleted, unseen, and decide on one small boundary and take that. Notice the feelings. Notice where your guilt, your fear, your doubt, um, where all of those things start to move away. Because choosing yourself is not selfish, it's sovereignty. It's midlife mastery. And remember that this is Midlife Talk with Cassandra's, where your next best step is honoring you. This is all the things I want for you. These are the things of putting on boundaries so you can be in your best space. I'm putting on boundaries so that, and really, let's just even remove the wording, because this can get really jingled up and people can get in that spiral. What it really means is put on your oxygen mask first. Make sure your cup is overflowing with love and abundance and energy. Because if your oxygen mask is on and your cup is overflowing with all of this love and abundance energy, then you have all of that to be able to give to others. Because your oxygen is on, you are fully getting all the air you need. Your cup is overflowing with abundance and love and gratitude and all that. So that's when we have the energy to give to others. That's when we have the space to hold for others. That is where we have healthy boundaries and are able to be in space, to hold space, to do all of those things. When we are not in a healthy space, when our oxygen mask has been thrown onto the table, where our cup is literally bone dry, upside down, too often, this is where we step in and we start to people please. And we make sure everybody else is good, as we are literally sinking into the abyss of our own sand pit. So are you in the sand pit that is literally slowly but surely, that pulling you into nothingness? Or are you realizing that if you sit still, you put your oxygen mask on, you look around, you can find your way out, your cup starts to overflow, the sands are no longer pulling you down because now there's a bridgeway over it, and you're like, all right, we're moving back into space with everybody else because my cup is overflowing. My oxygen mask is on. I am in my best self. And when I'm in my best self, that is the energy that I can help everybody else with. When I am depleted, I need to use my energy to make sure that I don't drown, that I don't fall into the sand pits of despair and grief and shame and crap, because our frequency lowers as our cup gets drained. So as your cup is draining, so are you. So fill up your cup. I just filled mine. Look, nice full cup. Oxygen mask is on. I am feeling in my best self today. I've gotten some sleep. I took a week off from doing any business really or doing anything. I found new alignment for the groups I'm running. It's all really beautiful by putting boundaries on what was okay and wasn't okay for myself. Finding the ways through of the things that were bothering me, that were triggering me, working through that, filling my cup up extra, clearing the space so that I could be in better alignment for myself. That is what we are talking about. That is about coming into sovereignty. That is about midlife mastery, not being in all of the crazy that happens when you turn 40 and all of these gateways open. It's the first gateway that matters, is putting on your own sovereignty, which is putting on your own boundaries, which is finding healthy ways to be in space with others. In order to do that, you have to put up some boundaries. Otherwise, you are going to be drained dry and you're going to be in that sand pit, sinking into abyss. Anyway, I know that seems like a whole lot, but understand that that is the energy of not having boundaries. That is the energy when we are living for everybody else, when we are choosing them over us, when we are making sure everybody else is okay at our own expense. It's time to stop doing that. It's time to put on the mask, fill up our cup so it overflows, and then come into the we. So first we have to look after me. So that me, right? So think about that aspect of the me, that big M that switches over to a W, right? That's when we can switch over. Once we look after us, then we can switch over and look after the universe. Me first, we second. Me, we, me, we, me, we. We can't go we until we go me. Oh, that sounded really funny and silly. Anyway, just so you're also aware, I do not filter, I do not change, I do not anything. Once the video is up, that is up. I do not have the time, energy, or knowledge to sit here and try to fix my videos. So once I post them, that's it. I do a live, I do it once, I put it up there. I am me 24 hours a day, good, bad, or ugly. So if you want to be in raw talks, if you want to hear raw information, if you want to hear a girl tumble over her own words, stick around for me, because I'll tell you, that's the way it's going to go. Anyway, this was Midlife Talks with Cassandra B. And where your next step begins with honoring you. So that's what I want for you today. So get out there and honor yourself. Get out there and learn more about you. Get out there and be in your best badass self. Anyway, I'll see you again tomorrow for Midlife Talks with me. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. I know I got to figure out how to open and close this in the best way. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting there. We're figuring it out. I'm not perfect, and I'm not trying to be. So anyway, I hope you guys all have a beautiful day. And remember, the only thing we need to worry about is our next best step. So get out there and take a best step into you. I'll see you again tomorrow for Midlife Talks with me, Cassandra B. Bye.